Hello, and welcome to our webinar. My name is Liz Fisk, and I am a Senior Predictive Analytics Consultant with LPA Software Solutions. Today, I will be talking to you about navigating the road to a data-driven organization. During this webinar, we will discuss the increasing demand to leverage data for decision-making, what most organizations are doing today to gain insight from their data, and the challenges they face in moving up the analytics maturity curve. Next, we will look at how to develop a strategy to become more data-driven, and I will outline our LPA's approach to doing this using an analytics roadmap. Finally, we will wrap up and give you information on how to get started with our approach. At the heart of every successful business model is data. Data has become a key natural resource for business, and not just your own internal data, but external data sets as well, like weather data, social media data, and other open data sets that are freely available. But despite the volume of data that is produced on a daily basis, only a fraction of it is being analyzed. And as we can see here in a recent study, only 15% of organizations have admitted to having the capability to leverage data and advanced analytics across their organization. So how does an organization refine the natural resource of data into a useful finished product? Ultimately, it's about the ability to apply multiple and advanced analytic techniques to refine the data down to key, new, and unexpected trends and insights. To be truly transformational, you also need to develop insights faster than your competition and then translate that insight into action for the business. To become a truly data-driven business, you need a foundation of both data and analytics. So from a data perspective, it's about getting access to all data. Your data, external data, such as social and weather data, and data that is in motion, such as IoT, that Internet of Things, or Twitter data. From an analytics standpoint, descriptive capabilities like business intelligence and reporting are still at the core of what we do, but we need to augment them with predictive analytics to dig for the non-obvious insights and to look forward to what is likely to happen next, and then to act upon that knowledge. We can also extend into the realm of cognitive, where we can have an interactive dialogue with our data and leverage adaptive technologies. So what we found in talking to our clients is that there are really 4 areas where data plays a role in providing value to the business. And while each area brings value, as we move from the left to the right, the end users feel like they get more value as data becomes more accessible to them using an increasingly sophisticated array of technologies. So if we start on the left, the operations stage depicts companies who use data to run their day-to-day operations. And the goal here is to reduce costs by managing data more efficiently with higher performance and higher availability environments. If we move up one step, the business intelligence stage is about companies providing data warehouses, data marts, and data lakes, typically for end-user analysis. The goal here is to structure data in such a way that it becomes usable by the business. If we take another step up the curve here, self-service analytics is a form of business intelligence in which line of business professionals are enabled and encouraged to perform analyses on their own with nominal IT support. And the goal here is to access and analyze data whenever and wherever to quickly gain insights to inform decision making. Finally, as we reach the far right of the maturity curve, these are businesses that have actually transformed their business into new models based on insights they get from their data. These businesses leverage advanced analytics, so that's predictive, optimization, cognitive technologies. So they use those to disrupt and stay competitive in the marketplace. Most organizations are somewhere between the BI step and the self-service analytics step. So what are the challenges that prevent businesses from moving up the maturity curve into that transformational space? There are a variety of business and IT challenges that can hold an organization back from becoming truly data-driven. Some of the ones that we've seen crop up more and more often are listed here on this slide. So first, some businesses have limited themselves to traditional data repositories, but we found that relying solely on internal data will likely be a competitive disadvantage in the future. It's all about accessing all of the data. In addition, there needs to be a shift from a focus of how data is stored to how data is accessed. And this is really a key point. You can collect all sorts of data and house all sorts of data, but if you do not make it accessible to an end user, it is virtually worthless. This is all about driving ubiquitous use and application of data across the organization. So another challenge we've seen is managing data environments and underperforming systems. So figuring out how to properly govern data is an ongoing responsibility for IT. We can shift the focus from data integration to data recognition. And what I mean by that is that one version of the truth. This is about being able to provide the business a feeling of trust that they can apply that data in mission-critical applications and parts of their business. And this comes up time and time again when we do these strategy sessions with our clients, that trusted data is really one of the key gap areas that we see. If we move on down the list, we know that silos still exist. Some organizations have data folks who are on an island with limited access to data, limited tool sets, and potentially limited deep IT skills. However, there's a shift occurring, a call for more collaboration across data professionals who are now dealing with bigger and more varied data sources that require a continuum of IT skills. Having a shared and collaborative user experience with common tools will facilitate those data governance activities and as well the ubiquitous data access. And it will also set the stage for wide adoption of analytics. Moving down, just as siloed data professionals are becoming a thing of the past, so too is the use of a single analytical technical tool. Today, to gain true competitive advantage, it's about shifting from a set of distinctive analytics capabilities to an environment where predictive, descriptive, and even cognitive can work together. It's all about fluid analytics in order to drive better answers and enabling the end users so that we can minimize user adoption issues, which of course are their own challenge. Another major challenge to becoming data-driven is the ability to rapidly deploy analytic insights to the business. The business needs the capability to take the data insights and models and deploy them quickly into a production environment. Complexity of the business use cases, of the data, or of the IT environment can be perceived as roadblocks. So having a strategic plan for how IT and the business can work together to deconstruct the complexity and rapidly deploy analytics projects is the key to success. Finally, budget. I don't think that this needs too much explanation. We've all been faced with budget constraints on both the business and the IT sides. But having a plan with prioritized data and analytics projects that map to demonstrable added value to the business will help justify resource allocations. We know that there's a lot of value to be realized from leveraging data and analytics, but there are also some not insignificant challenges to be addressed. So this is the point where a lot of organizations feel overwhelmed and they get stuck. So how can we keep the momentum going and actually develop an actionable plan? At LPA, we have a process to develop both a strategy and an operational roadmap for becoming data-driven. The way that we approach becoming data-driven is to keep data at the core with analytics as the mechanism that will add value to the business. And there are some key elements that will help ensure success. First, executive sponsorship is critical. We're talking about changing culture, so we need to get buy-in from the top. Secondly, it's easy to go off in several different directions where analytics are needed, so using a prioritization process will help provide focus. There also needs to be accountability. So having a core leadership who oversees data and technology will help to maintain that focus. This doesn't have to necessarily be an individual, but it could be a center of excellence or a group of representatives from both business and IT. Fact-based decision-making isn't just a best practice, it should be part of the culture of an organization. Support from the top needs to trickle down into functional areas of the business and IT. Getting key stakeholders and influencers on board will help to pull the rest of the organization along. And you know those folks who are going to be your key advocates and really critical to the success of any kind of data and analytics endeavor. Be prepared to provide enablement. We've seen this before. You spend a lot of time and effort setting up systems and layering software on top, and then training is an afterthought. End users will be able to get value more quickly from the analytics tools if they are properly trained upfront on how to use them. And choose the right tools based on the use cases and the business requirements. Be ready to evaluate point solutions as well as platforms with a broad array of analytical capabilities. You will want to get the right tool for the job, but also the biggest bang for your buck. And finally, make data accessible. This is as much a culture issue as it is a technical one. Be prepared to break down silos and encourage a culture of collaboration. If you want more information about this particular approach, I would highly recommend that you take a look at the book Competing on Analytics by Thomas Davenport and Gene Harris. It has some great details about each one of these key aspects to becoming a data-driven organization. So now that we have a framework to becoming data-driven, how do we actually operationalize it? Here at LPA, we have developed an analytics strategy and roadmap offering that is a systematic approach to planning your data and analytics journey. So we can identify where are you starting from and where are you going to, and finally, which is the best route to take to get there. We begin by crafting a business vision for the future of analytics in your organization. Next, we identify any data or technology gaps that need to be filled. And finally, we develop a plan to fulfill the analytics vision. During the engagement, we'll be looking to answer several questions about what currently works and what doesn't work. Where do we see the most value being added by moving up that analytics maturity curve? And can the IT infrastructure support moving up the curve, or do we have some work to do to prepare an environment that is sustainable and flexible for business requirements? Our focus at LPA is on data and analytics, and we have helped our clients successfully implement both. We will bring that experience to our engagement with you and helping you to develop a plan that is truly actionable. So what does this actually look like? Our approach to the analytics strategy and roadmap has 4 main components. We begin with an education foundation, and this is really critical. We need to level set the stakeholders' understanding for key concepts in analytics so that we are all speaking the same language. Based on our experience, this is definitely a critical step that helps us to more efficiently gather business and data requirements. Next, we engage the business stakeholders. We use what we call a visioning workshop to bring clarity to the future state of analytics in the organization. This is dedicated time to identify and prioritize the business use cases that will be of the most value and determine their requirements. From there, we explore your data. Our data readiness assessment will help us align your data with the business requirements. We will spend time with your IT team to understand how data are stored and managed, and when we need to, we can do a deep dive into the IT infrastructure. Finally, we execute. We deliver a roadmap that documents the business requirements, the data assessment results, and provides actionable steps to implementing recommendations. The roadmap deliverable is a document that you'll be able to use to align your infrastructure so you can evaluate back office and operational systems that are necessary to support those future state analytics needs from the business. You can use it to plan for new data needs. So assessing the availability of the data sources that are required to support those future analytics, including potentially innovative data technologies. You can also use the document to drive insights into your business applications. So we can recommend best practices to access data and to apply analytics to exploit opportunities at every part of your business. And finally, you can use the document to transform into a data-driven organization. You can build new applications and launch entirely new business models. Every organization is different, so we have a variety of ways to engage with you to deliver the analytics strategy and roadmap. We can focus on a single business unit or a single type of analytics across the business. So for example, if you just wanted to focus on advanced analytics, we could do that. Or we could take the comprehensive approach and address the whole enterprise. And depending on which is the right fit for you, there are different timelines for each approach. This could be anything from a single-day visioning workshop all the way up to a little bit over a month to do a full-on enterprise-wide complete strategy and roadmap. Please contact us to discuss how we can help your organization. If you have any questions right now, please enter them into the chat window, or you can use the link that's displayed on the slide, and we'll be sure to follow up with you. Okay, so it looks like we do have some questions that have come in through the chat window, so I'll go ahead and answer those. Okay. Our organization knows nothing about analytics, but our CEO is making it a strategic goal for next year. Can you help us with this initiative? Yes, of course, LPA can help you with that initiative. That's actually exactly the type of situation that the strategy and roadmap is designed for, to take your desire to become data-driven and develop an actionable plan with steps to achieve that goal. And frankly, we see this a lot, that there's some kind of initiative coming from the top, and then the folks who report to the top need to find some way to implement it. So that's oftentimes when we're called in to help actually facilitate that conversation and come up with some kind of actionable plan. Great question. All right, let's go to another one. We have a fairly mature analytics group at my company. Is there any value to us with this roadmap offering? Another good question. You know, I think there's always value in having a plan for the future. Even with a mature analytics group, there may be a need to look further out, maybe 3 years or 5 years, and plan for what's next so that you're working towards continuous improvement. You know, there's a danger in becoming complacent when things run smoothly. You know, we can maybe miss certain trends or not be prepared for what's coming next in the business. So, you know, I think that there really is some value there to, you know, having that future plan. What I would do is go back to that maturity curve that we looked at the beginning of the presentation and take a look at where you're at on that curve. You know, most folks were in the middle, just around BI and reporting. You know, have you shifted up one step into more of that advanced analytics space and the self-service space? Have you made it yet to the transformational step? I think that's really the goal, is to move into a space where we can leverage data and analytics to build new business models. So that would certainly be something that I would want to do, is maybe to chat with you more and see where your organization is in terms of the maturity curve. So that, I think, combined with potentially taking a longer term view for planning for analytics, could actually create a space for this roadmap offering at your organization. All right, next question. If we worked with LPA, what are the specific deliverables or the results from an analytics strategic engagement? So the main deliverable is a document. It's a final report, but we actually start with a survey to gather data, and it's all about the current use of analytics and data in your organization. And that kind of runs the gamut, you know, from business intelligence, predictive, optimization, cognitive. So that helps us lay the groundwork for the visioning workshop. And essentially, from the visioning workshop, we take that data and we conduct a data readiness assessment next. So the data readiness assessment essentially helps us to operationalize the use cases that we identify in that visioning workshop. From there, we also potentially do an infrastructure assessment. This is really in the comprehensive version. So I mentioned before that we have some different flavors to this offering. Could be a shorter engagement or a longer engagement if we do a whole enterprise-wide or comprehensive strategy and roadmap. If we go the comprehensive route, we might actually also do an infrastructure assessment to do a deeper dive into your IT architecture and environment to make sure that you have both the data as well as the environment to support the future analytics needs. So all of those things, the survey, the visioning workshop, the data readiness assessment, the infrastructure assessment, all of that data that we collect is used to develop a final report with our recommendations. And typically with that final report, we'll also include a project plan. And this is intended to be really a jump start for your organization to get started, at the very least with an initial project, so you can see immediate value from the roadmap and get going right away. Okay, so again, good question. All right, looks like we have another one. What types of stakeholders are required to participate in sessions to define a roadmap? So what are the roles, the departments, etc.? So typically, we have executives and business unit leaders who participate in that visioning workshop as that first step. We really want to align with corporate goals and make sure we have executive support. If you remember from our kind of overarching methodology and strategy, we have to have support from the top. So having the folks who are close to the top, or it could actually be the CEO who is also part of that group, is really critical so that we get buy-in to make this successful. So typically we have those business leaders who are part of the visioning workshop, and then we'll pull in people who report to the executives to talk through the operational requirements. So that's part of that data readiness assessment that we'll talk to team members on the business side who do the day-to-day work, who are the ones who are going to be interfacing with the data and the analytics, because we want to get their feedback as well and dive into the operational requirements for the business use cases that we've identified. And then typically we'll engage the IT group, also as part of the data readiness assessment, of course, but also if we go into that infrastructure assessment, of course, they would be critical to include in that conversation as well. Typically, from a process perspective, at the end, we regroup with the executives to do a final presentation of the report. And sometimes folks also include their designees. We've done this before where we have a couple of the C-suite folks and then some business directors. And then we have maybe some of their teammates who are key members or pieces of the process who are part of that final presentation for the final report that we do. And also typically, I don't want to forget this, this is really important, there's usually an individual who's kind of the key sponsor for the initiative. In the past, with companies that we've worked with, this has usually been a C-level person, so a CIO or a COO or a CFO. They typically are the people who are kind of the major sponsor and our main point of contact, who helps us to facilitate the planning for the roadmap and the sessions while we're on site, and then when we're off site, pulling together our final report. But beyond that, we've had participants from all over the business, all functional areas, finance, HR, sales, marketing, of course, as well as IT from the management side, as well as, down to sysadmins. So it really does depend on what size of a roadmap and an engagement you want to conduct. If we're focusing pretty quickly on just getting the business vision, or if we want the comprehensive view, we'll have to pull in more people. Okay. All right. So if we didn't get to your question, we'll definitely be sure to follow up with you. And if you do have other questions after this call, please visit us at lpa.com and we will be in touch. And thanks again and have a great day.